Have you ever met someone and within minutes you just clicked? It wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was psychology. Today I'm going to show you 10 powerful hacks that can make almost anyone instantly like you. And these aren't shallow tricks. They're real, research-backed, human connection tools you can start using today. Whether you want to make new friends, build deeper relationships, or create unforgettable first impressions, pay close attention, because once you understand these, you'll see every interaction differently. Hack 1 is the genuine smile. Have you ever been in a crowded room and someone across the room smiled at you? Not a quick fake smile, but the kind that made your shoulders drop, your chest relax, and your heart feel a little lighter? That's the power of the genuine smile. Psychologists call this the Duchenne smile, named after the French neurologist Guillaume Duchenne, who discovered that when a smile is real, it engages two muscle groups, the corners of your mouth and the tiny muscles around your eyes. You can't fake that eye crinkle convincingly for long. Your subconscious knows. My subconscious knows. Everyone's subconscious knows. And that's why a genuine smile feels different. One study from the University of California found that people who showed Duchenne smiles in photographs were rated as warmer, more trustworthy, and more attractive, even by complete strangers. Humans are ancient lie detectors. We evolved to read facial cues to figure out if someone is a friend or a threat. When you see a genuine smile, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, sends a signal that says we're safe here. Your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and suddenly you feel connected without even realizing it. Think about the last polite smile you got from a cashier. Tight lips, no warmth in the eyes. Your brain registers it, but your heart doesn't. Now picture an old friend spotting you unexpectedly. Their face lights up, their eyes sparkle, and you can feel the joy like it's contagious. That's not just emotion, that's biology. So how do you trigger a genuine smile instantly? You don't force it, you prime it. Before greeting someone, think of a memory that fills you with warmth. It could be your dog running to you after work, the moment you achieved something you'd been chasing, or a random funny memory with a friend. That thought will soften your face, brighten your eyes, and your smile will happen naturally. I once had a student named Hannah who was painfully shy. One day she got paired with the most confident guy in class. Before they even started, he looked at her, smiled genuinely, and said, "I'm really glad I get to work with you today." Something in her changed. She leaned in, started talking, and even laughed. Later, she told me that smile made her feel safe enough to speak. To you, it might be nothing, but to someone else, it could be everything. Before your next interaction, pause for 2 seconds. Think of something that makes you truly happy, and smile like you mean it. When people feel good about themselves around you, they will always feel good about you. But a smile is just the spark. If you want to fan that spark into a warm connection, you need the next hack. A tiny change in the way you speak that makes people feel instantly recognized. Hack 2 is use their name. The sweetest sound to any human being is the sound of their own name. It's not just a word, it's an identity. It's a signal that says, I see you, I value you. Neuroscientists at the University of Maryland found that hearing your own name activates unique patterns in the brain's medial prefrontal cortex, the part deeply tied to your sense of self. When you use someone's name, you light up the part of their brain that says, this is about me. Think about it. How different does this feel? Hey, how's your day going? Versus, hey Sarah, how's your day going? That small difference changes everything. When someone says your name, it anchors you in the conversation. It makes the moment personal. It turns a generic interaction into a connection. Of course, you can overdo it. If someone uses your name in every sentence, it feels manipulative, like a salesperson trying too hard. The goal isn't to say it constantly, but to use it with intention. At the beginning, greet them with their name. Once during the conversation, use it to re-engage them. And at the end, use it to leave a personal imprint. Example, hey Alex, good to see you. Then later, you know Alex, that's a great point. And finally, all right Alex, I'll see you next time. 3 touches. Not too much, not too little. A friend of mine once told me about her first day at a new job. She met dozens of people, most of whose names she forgot instantly. But one colleague, Mark, remembered her name after a single introduction. The next day, he passed her in the hallway and said, "Morning, Julia." It was small, but in a place where she felt invisible, it meant the world. From that day on, she felt like she had an ally, all because of one word, her name. Names are not just labels. They are emotional shortcuts to connection. Use them wisely, and you'll make people feel recognized in a way they'll never forget. Now you've smiled, you've used their name, and you've opened the door to connection. But if you want them to walk away thinking about you hours later, you need a compliment. Not the shallow, obvious kind, but one that feels so personal, it almost feels like a discovery. Hack 3 is the slow reveal compliment. The problem with most compliments is they're too fast, too generic, and they disappear as quickly as they land. "I like your shirt." Nice, yes. Memorable, no. But a slow reveal compliment works differently. It's not dropped like a coin, it's built like a bridge. Instead of blurting it out immediately, you lead into it naturally. You observe something specific, and then you give the compliment as if you've just realized it. Example, "You know, I've noticed something about you. You have this calm energy that makes people around you relax." This works for two reasons. First, it shows you've been paying attention, which makes it feel personal. Second, it gives the other person a moment of suspense before the compliment lands, which makes the impact stronger. In social psychology, this taps into the spotlight effect, the idea that people are highly aware of how others perceive them. When you offer a compliment that's specific and delayed, you show them you've really seen them, not just their appearance, but who they are. And that kind of recognition stays with people far longer than nice shoes. Hack 4 is the mirror effect. This is one of the most powerful nonverbal tools you can use to make someone feel connected to you without them even realizing why. The idea is simple. People like those who are like them. And mirroring is the art of subtly matching another person's body language, tone, and pace so they feel you're on the same wavelength. Think of it like dancing. When two dancers move in sync, it feels natural and harmonious. In conversation, when someone leans forward and you also lean forward, or they speak softly, and you match their softness, their subconscious picks up on it and says, "This person gets me." But there's a fine line between natural mirroring and awkward copying. If you mimic every single thing they do, it becomes creepy. The key is subtlety. Give a few seconds delay before you match their posture or tone. Keep it relaxed. Studies from Princeton University show that people who naturally mirror each other during conversation report feeling more connected and in sync, even when they can't explain why. I once coached a client who struggled with making small talk at networking events. He felt out of place, and people seemed to drift away quickly. I told him to focus on one thing: mirror the energy and posture of the person he was speaking to. At his next event, he approached a man who spoke slowly, leaned on one elbow, and had a calm tone. My client matched that pace and posture. They ended up talking for 20 minutes straight and even set up a follow-up meeting. Later, he told me, "I didn't even feel like I was trying. It just felt easy." That's the beauty of mirroring. The takeaway is simple. If you want someone to feel at ease with you, become a subtle reflection of their energy. It tells them, without words, we are alike. Hack 5 is show vulnerability. Most people think they have to present the most perfect, polished version of themselves to be liked. But perfection can feel distant. It can make others feel they can't relate to you. Vulnerability, on the other hand, builds trust faster than almost anything else. It's about being human, showing that you have flaws, struggles, and quirks. In one famous study called the pratfall effect, psychologist Elliot Aronson found that people who were generally competent but made small mistakes were actually more likable than those who appeared flawless. The mistake made them seem real. Of course, this doesn't mean oversharing deeply personal trauma with strangers. It means allowing small cracks in the armor so others can see the human underneath. I remember a woman named Claire who gave a presentation at a conference I attended. She began by confidently introducing her topic, but halfway through she laughed and said, "You'll have to excuse me. I practiced this so many times in my kitchen that I forgot there would be actual people staring back at me." The room laughed with her, and from that moment, the atmosphere changed. People leaned in. They smiled more. Her small admission of nervousness made her relatable, and the audience connected with her instantly. The practical way to use this hack is to sprinkle in small, light moments of honesty about yourself. Mention the coffee you spilled on your shirt earlier, or how you once completely forgot what you were saying mid-sentence. Vulnerability invites connection because it says, I trust you enough to show my real self. Hack 6 is give undivided attention. In today's world, where people's eyes flick to their phones every few seconds, undivided attention is rare. And that makes it powerful. When you focus completely on someone, they feel valued in a way that most people never experience. This means no glancing at your phone, no scanning the room for someone more interesting, and no half listening while you plan what you'll say next. Psychologists call this active listening, and research shows it not only builds rapport, but also makes people perceive you as more intelligent and empathetic. When someone feels truly heard, they associate that positive feeling with you. It's almost addictive. I once had a conversation with an older man at a cafe. He told me about his childhood in a small fishing village. I asked follow-up questions, repeated parts of his story back to him, and didn't interrupt. At the end, he looked at me and said, "You know, I can't remember the last time someone actually listened to me like that." That one conversation turned into a friendship that lasted for years. If you want to apply this today, try this challenge. When someone talks to you, put away your phone, make consistent eye contact, and respond to what they're actually saying instead of steering the conversation toward yourself. It's such a simple act, but it makes you unforgettable. Hack 7 is use their name often. A person's name is, without exaggeration, one of the sweetest sounds they can hear. It's more than just a label. It's part of their identity, the word they've heard since birth to recognize themselves. When you use someone's name in conversation, you're signaling that they matter, that you see them as an individual, not just another face in the crowd. Dale Carnegie, the legendary author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, famously said, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language." And he was right. Imagine you're at a busy party and you hear your name called from across the room. Instantly, your brain tunes in like a radio locking onto its frequency. That's the power of a name. But there's a balance to strike. Using someone's name in every sentence can feel forced, almost like a sales tactic. The magic is in sprinkling it naturally into your sentences, especially when you're making a point, asking a question, or offering appreciation. I once had a teacher who would begin every feedback session with my name and end with it as well. It wasn't fake. It felt intentional and warm. I still remember those conversations years later, not just for the advice, but for the way they made me feel important. Here's the quick way to put this into practice. The next time you meet someone new, repeat their name in your head a few times and find opportunities to use it at key moments. When you thank them, say their name. When you greet them, say their name. That tiny detail can turn a forgettable exchange into one that lingers in their mind. Hack 8 is give genuine compliments. And the word genuine is key here. People can smell a fake compliment from a mile away. A real compliment is specific, personal, and sincere. Instead of saying, "You're smart," you might say, "I love the way you explained that idea. You made it so easy to understand." See the difference? The first is vague. The second shows you were paying attention and valued their unique contribution. Psychologists have found that compliments trigger the same reward centers in the brain as receiving money. In other words, making someone feel appreciated is like giving them a little mental payday. But here's the trick. Don't just focus on appearance. Compliment someone's effort, creativity, or kindness. Those kinds of compliments stick longer because they're tied to the person's character, not just surface qualities. I remember a barista who made my coffee every morning when I lived in the city. One day I told her, "You always remember my order perfectly, even when the cafe is packed." That's such a skill. Her face lit up, and for the rest of the week, she greeted me with a smile before I even reached the counter. Genuine appreciation creates connection because it makes people feel seen. So start looking for little things people do well, things others might overlook. Point them out sincerely and watch how it transforms the way they respond to you. Hack 9 is create shared experiences. One of the fastest ways to build a bond with someone is to share an experience, especially if it's new, exciting, or challenging. That's why friendships often form quickly during travel, group projects, or even intense training programs. The brain tends to store those moments as emotional anchors, tying the memory of the experience to the people we were with. Psychology calls this the errant inclusion of other in the self effect, where the more we share meaningful moments with someone, the more we start to see them as part of our own story. Even small experiences, like trying a new restaurant together or going for a late-night walk, can create that feeling. A friend of mine once invited me to help him cook a complicated dish neither of us had tried before. We ended up burning half of it, laughing at our mistakes, and ordering pizza instead. To this day, that memory makes us laugh. It wasn't the success of the dish that mattered, it was the shared moment of trying and failing together. That became a story only we could tell. To use this hack, think about ways to create small adventures with people you want to grow closer to. Suggest a mini challenge, attend a workshop together, or even just share a playlist and talk about your favorite songs. Shared moments become emotional glue, holding relationships together long after the moment has passed. Hack 10 is leave them feeling better than you found them. This might sound simple, but it's actually one of the most powerful ways to make people instantly like you and remember you. At its core, it's about emotional impact. People rarely remember every word you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. This principle is backed by something psychologists call the peak end rule, which says people judge an experience based on how they felt at its most intense moment and at the end. So if the last thing someone feels when interacting with you is a sense of encouragement, warmth, or happiness, their memory of you will be overwhelmingly positive. Think about this. Have you ever met someone who left you smiling, even if your day started off terrible? Maybe it was the cashier who cracked a little joke as they handed you your change, or the stranger who said, "I hope you have the best day," and sounded like they truly meant it. Those moments are small, but they can ripple out in powerful ways. When I was in college, there was a security guard at the library who had this habit. No matter how late it was, no matter how tired you looked, he would always say something like, "You've got this, you're going to crush it." I saw dozens of students light up just from those words. Years later, people still talk about him. That's the legacy of leaving people better than you found them. To practice this hack, end your interactions with a genuine note of positivity. Compliment their effort, offer encouragement, share a little humor. Even a simple, "It was so great talking to you," said with sincerity, can shift someone's day. And when they remember you, they'll remember that feeling. Now let's pull it all together. Every one of these hacks, mirroring body language, showing genuine interest, giving sincere compliments, using people's names, creating shared experiences, leaving people better than you found them, they all have one thing in common. They're not about manipulation, they're about connection. True influence isn't about tricking people into liking you. It's about showing up in a way that makes them feel valued, seen, and respected. And here's the most beautiful part. When you start practicing these habits, you'll notice something unexpected. Yes, people will like you more. Yes, they'll open up to you faster. But more importantly, you'll start liking yourself more. Because every time you make someone feel good, you're reinforcing the kind of person you are. Someone who leaves a positive mark everywhere they go. So starting today, I challenge you. Pick just one of these hacks and use it in your next conversation. Then another, then another. Watch how the energy around you changes. Watch how doors open that you didn't even know were there. And remember, every person you meet is carrying an entire universe inside them. Your job isn't to conquer it. Your job is to step into it with kindness, curiosity, and respect. Because at the end of the day, being liked isn't about having the perfect words or the perfect timing. It's about making people feel that when you're around, life feels just a little bit lighter, warmer, and better. And if you can do that, you won't just make people like you, you'll make them grateful they met you.